This is such a vast field that I think the last word on this will be only uttered 20, 30 years from now. Everything is up for questioning, everything is up for revision. Even Ethereum itself is going through so many changes.
Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Today I have a very special guest with me, Swapnil. He graduated from IIT Bombay in 2002, then joined IMA. He brings together plethora of experiences, information and lot of knowledge about blockchain technology. In this video, we discuss majorly on different consensus mechanism, how they compare with each other. We also looked at the future of blockchain technologies. You will love this video. We have tried to keep it very simple so that everyone can understand it. So like the video, subscribe to our channel and let's get started. When did you first discover blockchain?
I would say when I realized that you can achieve consensus in a robust manner, in a fraud-proof manner, without coordinating explicitly. To me, that was, and that's again, Bitcoin also does that. That to me was the aha moment where I was watching it from a distance. I didn't study it deeply enough. So I just kept thinking of it as a fringe experiment for quite some time. But when I studied it in depth, I read the white papers, I realized that this is path breaking. This is very different from what we used to. Till 2015, I didn't code too much. Occasionally here and there, some lines of code.
Okay.
In 2006, I did some bit of coding, but very basic. 15 to 19, I did quite serious coding because of, you can't work at a quant hedge fund and not code. So that sort of got me back in touch with Python, and that also gave me the confidence that converting structured thinking into a full-fledged code which works. So I did write a fairly large portion of our current blockchain core engine.
In layman terms, what exactly is consensus and why is it important for a decentralized network?
The consensus is the foundation of decentralization. When we say decentralized, what does it mean? That there is no one source of authority. To distinguish it from centralized network, let's take the example of currency notes.
Okay.
Right? A currency note has value because we all believe in RBI. Gold, for example, for a long period of time in history, gold was the externally imposed consensus of sorts, that it was finite, so it was valuable and so on. But when you think of it in a digital context, there is no gold to speak of. There's no finite resource that we can say. Now, in case we are looking at something which is like an electronic entry, like a ledger of balances, which is what blockchains are, you have to agree that this is the correct ledger. Now, how do we agree on that? That's consensus. If everybody is going to have a say in what that is without there being a consensus, then I would say I own $1 billion or billion Bitcoins. You will say you own 1 billion Bitcoins, and all that will lose value in no time, because your ledger will say you own billion Bitcoins and I own 10. My ledger will say I own billion and you own 10. And we'll never agree, and then the whole thing will break down. So for this to hold true, we have to have a certain degree of agreement within the group.
Let's first start with proof of work, which is the first one to solve this kind of problem.
So proof of work is about saying that I will specify to the rest of the network the transactions that I am using. So there are some balances and some transactions have been submitted. I will verify them. In parallel, I'll solve the puzzle. And the accurate, valid transactions I'll include along with the solution of the puzzle. The logic here is, the reason you insert the puzzle in the mix is that everybody cannot get the answer at the same time. Somebody will get lucky and get it faster than others. And it's very easy to verify if the puzzle has been solved, because the solution is easy to check. They don't need to resolve the puzzle to check. The original view of Satoshi, at least in my assessment, was that people will not bother building specific infrastructure for it. If solving the puzzle is the only way I'm going to get a Bitcoin for free, not by purchasing it, but just for contribution, then I can simply say I will get a better GPU or a CPU. And then you will say, oh, I'll get even better CPU. And then it will go on, right? It's an arms race of sorts.
Yeah.
Whosoever has because it's a very brute force puzzle. There's no algorithmic elegance to it, that I can be smart and solve it faster. It's just like try 1, try 2, try 3. Try 4, like that. The whole thing went against the whole logic of decentralization, because if you pool your mines, mining equipment or gear, then you're centralizing the net. So it is slowly killing the decentralization spirit of Bitcoin, because you and I can't mine Bitcoin anymore.
So how does proof of a stake solves this?
As in, proof of stake then doesn't require that constraint. You don't actually have to solve the actual puzzle and wait for 10 minutes. You actually solve. You actually say that this is my money. I'm locking it in. If I submit a bad block, if I submit a bad transaction, then I'm okay if this stake is slashed. The network punishes me for bad submissions. And so proof of stake then becomes like escrow or guarantee driven approach to submitting blocks. So it's super fast. It consumes no energy at all because I'm not solving any puzzle now. I'm simply saying, here's my stake, and people get selected randomly to mint a block. In proof of work, you lose your chance. You spend 10 minutes to solve that puzzle and you put a stupid transaction in it. You have wasted your chance to earn the Bitcoin. That's why you won't do it. In proof of stake, you have the money that you could lose. That's why you won't do it.
You will
So
lose
that's
the collateral.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
So you recently launched a white paper called Proof of Trust. So how
Right.
does that work, and how does that solve the problems with proof of stake?
So there are two problems of proof of stake that we're trying to solve. One is proof of stake allows bad behavior to go unpunished beyond the stake slashing.
So the next time that same malicious code comes, it will be treated as a genuine one. Okay.
Yeah, the memory awareness is missing. Secondly, you can purchase anything with money. You can purchase influence with money. That's the part which is potentially creeping centralization is possible in that.
I think there is a very good analogy with proof of stake. Like the rich gets richer in the network and the poor gets poorer.
That's true.
Okay.
Because if I have a large stake, I'll also be having a higher probability of being selected for the next minting, and so I get that reward also. I can also use smart contracts to pool my stake, just like people are pooling their mining rigs in proof of work.
And in proof of trust, you associate some trust factor with each of the nodes.
The crucial thing we do is, one, everybody's trust score, even if they have the 50-year history of good behavior on the network, it will be capped. So your trust score cannot exceed 3.0. The minimum is -1, and everything between 0 and 3. If there are 100 nodes or 1,000 nodes on, let's say, Ethereum, and 1,000 nodes on our chain, in 1,000 nodes of Ethereum, it will matter who owns how much, because then they can pool and control the network. In our chain, the ownership anyway doesn't matter. They just have to put the basic minimum stake for slashing. That's fine. But even if 100 of them are behaving very well and they start to have high trust score vis-a-vis others, it starts to taper very quickly. Start with a trust score of 0.01, will gradually go to 3. So even if you keep doing honest submissions, your score will remain 2.99, 2.9999 anyway. It will never exceed 3. So you can't say that I have been doing this for 10 years, so now I'll become the whale. So in steady state, you might have 500, 700, 800 of these nodes, all with a score of 3. But then we all have a system which is very democratic.
Since the stakes are small and anyone can join, if I stake like 100 times and creating different smart contracts, then how can that be avoided?
So that's where the crucial point of difference comes vis-a-vis Ethereum and other chains, that we are not an anonymous chain. We don't believe in anonymity. Identity awareness, we think, is central to the future of Web3. We think anonymous operations will be a useful subset, which people who care for anonymity will operate in that. The rest of us who don't really care for anonymity but who are more worried about privacy, there are two different things. I want to be private, but I don't want to be anonymous.
Thank you.